welcome back. So we just did our first workflow. Well, I guess it's not really much of a workflow. All we have here is a trigger, but now we can actually add an action step. So let's think, what do we want to do? If we are triggering whenever we receive a new email, what would make sense to do? I'm thinking, let's try to grab the data that's being sent to us and then do something with it. So let's actually maybe keep it simple and just send it to like a Slack channel. So if we want to prep for that, let's open a new tab, then head over to slack.com and then create a Slack account. Now pause the video here if you want to create a Slack account. And again, I am on a free trial version. I never had to pay. I just said, I'll start a free trial, please. So it's at no cost to you. And of course, you don't have to follow along if you don't want. You can just watch, or you could do something else. Maybe you don't want to use Slack. Maybe you want to set up an email action, whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to display us using Slack. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to expand on channels and go over to the social channel. And this is unrelated to what I'm currently building here. This is from our Zapier section. I'm going to click on delete message, and I have a bunch of other stuff here. So let me just send out this line here. So anything below this will be new and will be from our n8n workflow. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking whenever we get a new email, let's send some kind of message from the email over to our Slack channel. So what we can do now is click this plus icon here to add another step, or add our first step after our trigger. So I'm going to click this icon, and we have a few different options here. So let's go through these. So our first option here is AI. So we can build autonomous agents, summarize or search documents, etc. So if I click on this, we have a bunch of different AI agent options. So we have Anthropic, Gemini, OpenAI, etc. So if I wanted to do something like click OpenAI, I could say, okay, so whenever we receive a new email, do one of the following. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to go back and go back again. And then I'm going to actually do something else because we want to just send this data over to Slack. But again, I just want to show you all these action steps that we could do. Over here, we have this action in an app. So if we want to do something in an app or a service like Google Sheets, Telegram, or Notion, we have all these options. Over here, data transformation. So maybe you have to change the data type, file type. We could use the different options within here. So AI transform, we have code that we could run, date and time. We could do filters. Maybe if we want to look for specific text data within the email, so we could filter based on this and then just specify something here. So maybe we want to say only return emails or only continue with this workflow if the email body contains certain text, or maybe it's only from a certain person, and so on. A lot of options here. There's a limiting option, remove duplicates, aggregates, merges, summarizations. There's a lot of options you can do within data transformation. So feel free to explore those as you may want to. And then let's head down to the flow category. Let's click on that. And within the flow category, there's if statements, there's merge statements, or even loop statements. We also have these switch cases down here. And again, you probably don't know what these all mean if you're not from a coding background, but think of if statements as if maybe the sender is this person, then send their email over to this Slack channel. Otherwise, send the message to this other Slack channel. So essentially an if statement is just checking if a case is true or not, and then doing different actions depending on if that case is true or false. These loop functions would just, essentially just loop over and over again until a specific condition's met. Merge stream, merging multiple data into one stream. So a switch statement is something that we will look at in one of our lectures here. So essentially it's saying if case A, do operation A, otherwise if case B, do operation B, and so on. If case C, do operation C. So for example, I could add a switch statement here that said if an email is from my manager, send it over to this manager Slack channel or something like that. If it's from my employee, send it over to this employee Slack channel. Or if it's spam, ignore it or something like that. So a switch statement, in my opinion, is one of the most useful things you could learn. And think of it as you're just doing different actions depending on what type of data you're receiving. That's all it is. We also have the option to execute a sub workflow. So I could call a workflow within a workflow. So it could get very confusing. I don't want to overwhelm you too much with all the options. So I'm just going to head back now. But you can look at the flow category for different flow options. And again, it takes time to learn all this, especially if you're not from a development background. So if you're not completely sure what all these are for, do not worry about it. All we've done so far is make an email trigger, and that's really it. We haven't really done anything else. I'm just saying what the options are. Down here in core, if you want to run code or make HTTP requests, you could find all those action nodes within there. Human in the loop. So this means that if we want to move ahead with the next action in the flow, we need to wait for a human to approve the workflow. So let's say an email is received from somebody. If I add this human in the loop, it's going to say, do you want to continue with this workflow or do you want to discard it? Or I could add another trigger if I wanted to. But what we're going to do here is click on the search tab and we're going to type in Slack. So now let's click on our Slack action here. So I'm just going to click on that. And now we have a bunch of different actions that we can carry out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on send a message. So down here, message actions, click send a message. And now we have to connect our Slack account. So don't worry about anything over here right now. Just worry about what's here and then link to your Slack channel in your Slack account. And I'm gonna click on connect my account. And because I've already logged into Slack, I have this pop-up that automatically found my account. I'm gonna click on allow and there we go. Now, if you're using a workplace Slack account or a workplace Slack, I guess, channel or grouping, you would need to definitely reach out to whoever's in charge of IT there to allow you to set up these connections. And no idea if they would have let you do that or not. It really depends on their policy. All right, so now that we have that in place, let's click that X over here and let's click on resource. We have a few different options here. Now we said we wanted to send a message. So I'm gonna keep it as message. The operation will be send. We're gonna send a message. You could also delete a message or updates and so on. And then we wanna specify where to send the message to. So I'm going to click on the select here and I'm going to say we're going to send the message to a channel and that channel will be our social channel. So I'm going to type in social and there we go. All right, perfect. So far we have connected our Slack account and we have just set up a send message operation to our social channel. The message type, it'll just be a simple text message, and the message text, well, let's just say hi and let's click execute step. All right, it says node executed successfully. Let's head over to our Slack channel to see if it updated, and there it is. So it sends from my account, but we can see it was automated with a workflow. All right, let's head back to our workflow and let's delete this message text. So I'm gonna just highlight that, click backspace. And now let's look at all this data here on the left-hand side. So this data on the left-hand side is essentially the email that I just received. So actually, let me go open up my Gmail to show you. Okay, so going to the latest email sent to this account, this is the email that my workflow is referencing. So it says you allowed n8n.cloud access to some of your Google account data. If you didn't allow this, then someone may be trying to access your Google account data. And so that is the email it is referring to. Let's head back to our workflow and let's decide what do we want to do with that information. So I could drag this snippet over into the message text. And if you look at this, it says JSON.snippet. So what is JSON and why are there curly brackets wrapped around this? What's going on? So JSON just stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And if we head over to W3 Schools, we can see some more information on it. So right here, it's just a lightweight format for storing and transporting data and often used when data is sent from a server to a web page. So again, as we saw from our workflow, it is very simple and straightforward to understand. If you just specify JSON here and then add a dot or a period, you can then pull in the different fields over here. So let's head back to this what is JSON page. So within this code here, we can see it is an array of 3 employee records. So right here, we can see the key is first name, the value is John, first name, Anna, and also their last name. So if I were to call the first record of this array and then say first name, I would get the output of John. I would get the value John. So let's head back to our workflow and let's just realize that we don't need to be experts with JSON. We don't want to understand it perfectly, but it is fairly straightforward. If you want to specify data, all you have to do is type in the curly brackets and then type them in again. And then we have all these suggested options. Now I'm going to keep this simple because this is a beginner's course. And if you don't have background knowledge in coding, that is completely fine. You don't need it. So I'm going to click on JSON, and then I'm going to enter the period icon or the dot icon. And now I have all these fields that I can pull from. So if I wanted to pull the subject of the email, I could click that. And now when I execute this step, we should get the subject of the email sent over to our Slack channel. So let's go back to our Slack and let's see. And there we go. We see the message security alert was sent by our workflow automatically. If we head back to our email, we can just see our subject is security alert. So that's accurate. That's correct. Now, what if we want to change this from subject to maybe the data here, the snippet? So if I want to type in snippet, I can see it pops up automatically. I'm going to click on that. And again, let's click on execute step. And there we go. I get the full snippet of this email. It just says you allowed n8n cloud access to your account, blah, blah, blah. So that's exactly what comes from this email. Now we'll be exploring more about variables and how we can pull variables into our actions. But for now, this is straightforward enough to allow us to just drag and drop data. We don't need to get too carried away here. If you want, it is very simple and straightforward just to type those 2 curly brackets. And again, I'm not typing them all at the same time. It's auto completing for me. So when I type in 1 curly bracket, it's automatically completing it. If I type in 2, it adds 2 to the end as well. And then I can say JSON, oops, you have to specify with the $, JSON dot, and then again, all of our different field types from this trigger. Now, if we had a multi-step workflow with multiple different actions attached, we would have multiple different data points to pull out. So instead of just this Gmail trigger, we would have other items here to pull data from. And I'll actually show you that once we build a workflow with more than one action node. So again, you could type it out if you want, or if it's easier to you, you can just drag and drop. So I'm going to click and hold on snippet and drop it over here. And there we go. Now, if I run this again, we'll see the snippet just gets posted again over to our Slack channel. We're going to head back to our workflow and let's go back to Canvas and let's click on save. So now whenever someone sends me an email, I'm automatically going to send the subject of that email over to my Slack account and to that specified Slack channel. So let's send myself an email from another email. Okay, so I just sent myself an email from another account. Let's head over to Slack and see if it popped up. And it did. We can see that someone emailed me, or I emailed myself from another account, the email with the body of hello. That's the message. The email is just me saying hello. And we can see it's automated with this n8n workflow. So whenever someone sends an email to that Gmail account, it will automatically get pasted over into this Slack channel that I specified. Maybe I want to modify this now to say, actually, I don't want to send it to that Slack channel. How can I change it? All you have to do is double click on your Slack action node. So I'm going to double click that and we can change the channel that we post this to. So maybe I want to post these over to, I don't know, this invoices channel. So now when I execute this, this data is being sent over to our invoices channel. So let me go find it wherever it's at. Oh, it's right here. And there we go. So it's just sending this snippet over to the invoices channel. And that's essentially a very intro beginner's guide to how to build out a trigger and an action node within n8n. Now, I know so far it's been very straightforward and not too complex or interesting yet. I get that, but you need to learn the very basics before you go on and build something more complex or more interesting. So now that we know how to set up a trigger and how to set up an action node, let's try to branch off of this and build something a little more interesting. So I'll see you in the next video where we will build out a workflow that has a few more action steps than just with this one. So I'll see you there.